welcome to another installment of Fail Forward Friday. How are you doing, Doc?
I'm good.
You're good. You're well.
I'm well.
Yes.
I was not well a few days ago, but I'm well.
Okay, I know. But yes, again, welcome to another installment of Fail Forward Friday, Doc. Another day, another dollar, another billion in the bag. Um,
Another failure,
another failure.
another lesson.
Another lesson. Yes, remember the whole idea around Fail Forward Friday is that we bring stories about people, businesses, or entrepreneurs, well, generally, that have failed, but have either failed forward or have failed and gone bust. And the idea is that you guys out there, entrepreneurs, or people in the workspace, do learn and take lessons from what other people have done so that you don't have to go through what other people have gone through.
Yep. How have you been?
Doc, I was also out. I was out. But I'm strong like ox now.
You're back with a vengeance.
I'm strong like ox.
We must watch out.
They don't know what's
Okay. All right. All right.
So, as you would know, Doc and I are sitting, we're not in a classroom, no. We don't have a teacher out there, but we do have a person, a guest, a friend, the future CEO of Fail Forward Friday.
Hi guys, long time.
It has been a long time.
You guys been?
We're good. We thought you don't want to come back because you didn't ask, you didn't say anything, like you just went, Nje.
I disappeared. We pivot.
Oh, you pivoted.
Yes, and did a lot of things. And also, I don't want to be here and get the pressure of we're training for Sanlam and I'm not running and all. So, but yeah, I'm good. I'm glad the year's ending.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's fear and fatigue.
No, I don't want to claim the fatigue because then you get extraordinarily fatigued. But I'll just say it's, when you slow down because you reaching the end. That's what I'm doing. I'm just letting whatever seed I'm planting in this year to bear fruit into next year.
Okay, that's good. That's good. We're glad that you're going to bear much fruit. It means you'll start sponsoring us soon.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. So without further ado.
Yeah. So what do we have today?
Yes.
What story are we discussing with our guest, Tebogo?
Also, I tell the people. Okay, so I thought it was just interesting that I looked back and I thought it's been almost 7 years since I left corporate. And in the fact that, spiritually, the number 7 is the number of fullness. And I thought, what am I coming to? What kind of fullness am I being? So it's the becoming of the greater me and the lessons that I've learned, the boundaries that I've created, and the growth that I've sort of seen or think I'm seeing in the last 6.6 going into 7. Yeah.
When is 7? End of the year?
7 is
January.
Yeah.
Also, you finished in December to go into...
I actually finished in April, but from Jan, it was, laying the ground and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe before we get into the 7 years, take us through just before you left.
Yeah. Why?
Why did you leave? What was how was
funny enough, we've never actually spoken about it.
how was that?
The transition.
Yeah, I mean, you woke up and you said, "This is it."
I think that was what was happening. Initially, it used to be the fact that I'm tired of all the ends, right? I used to work for a corporate where we were a subsidiary until we were disbanded, and then we got to be listed. So initially we used to have interim and year end. So I just knew that, okay, December I don't take leave, I wrap up interim, and then June, and then because then we were getting listed and we merged with another entity, then there was quarter end. So now that thing that I thought I was getting breaks in between was gone, because every 3 months it's me leaving the office at 1 a.m. and back at 7 in the morning. And it came to a point where then I left, right? Because I thought it was that environment. I liked it. I liked the people there. I literally grew up in that corporate. And then I went to another corporate, and unfortunately, it was in Joburg. Initially, I thought I can do this. I mean, there's
The first one was in Pretoria.
in Pretoria, so it was closer to home.
You say interim, yeah, and it's like financial. Yes.
Yeah, financial reporting. Sorry, I'm assuming here.
I was about to say, you did finance.
Yes. Yes, I was in reporting, and then I moved to a bank
In Joburg,
in Joburg.
and you stay in Pretoria.
In Pretoria, because if you know me, you know I'll never live in Joburg, anyways. So then I went. It was a different culture, right? So this is the bank that had gone through a lot of transformation, and they were acquired by another international bank, and then there was also work in Africa. I was focusing in Africa, right? But the thing is, we have different time zones. But when I'm reporting in South Africa at 4:00, right?
4 a.m. p.m.
Right, in South Africa, close of business at 4 p.m.
So when you say you report, like you submit you do a submission.
No, we used to, like, our month end at the bank was very intense. So we would sit, tax is sitting there, risk is sitting there, and then you go through your country. And then people would ask you, why is this tax sitting here? And at the time that
Or you are presenting.
you're presenting your monthlies now. So it's no longer quarterlies and year and half year ends and year end. So now there is monthlies as well. So I couldn't sustain the how train that I thought I would, because after the 4 p.m. meeting, let's say it ends at 6 p.m. But you need to fix whatever it is by 8 p.m. and then only then I'd go home. So now there isn't a how train. So then I started traveling. So added to the stress, then there is the driving in the morning. And during that time, it was when I wanted to improve my comrades' time. I wanted to improve all my marathon times. To improve my comrades, I had to improve everything, right? So I was training at 4:30 in the morning, then driving to Joburg, and then leaving the office at 8, getting home at 9, pass out, up at 3:30. It was just not sustainable anymore.
What were you eating? When were you eating?
I don't know. I don't know when I was.
You're living on fumes.
I don't remember my life besides how tired I mostly was, right? And then one day I was sitting next to a colleague, and he was telling me that he's thinking of going and joining the family business in Cape Town. And I'm like, why am I here? Because I don't like it here. I remember telling a guy that on Sundays, I used to get very teary and very emotional. And I realized it's because the week was starting. I'm going to the place I don't like, right? And then he said to me,
Can I ask, sorry, just before you continue, is the place you don't like the job, or is the place you don't like the busyness of everything
I think it's the environment.
that you were working in?
The job was interesting. Remember, now I'm suddenly working with all these African countries and whatever. The pressure that is expected, the environment. Like, my previous employer was about people. So, like, where you felt like you're home, there wasn't designated parking. The CEO could park
Anyway, sit next to anyone.
next to anyone and open plans and whatever. There, it was very structured. It was like a bank. Like, that's why I had to say the bank, so you understand how structured it was.
The culture was different.
The culture was different, and it was not my personality. I struggled to fit in.
So interesting when you talk about Sunday, you would be teary. There was some research that shows that a lot of people who commit suicide, they commit them Monday mornings, early Monday mornings, because of the fact that they're going
pressure.
to that place that they don't like.
But that's why I'm asking, like, is it a place of job, or is it a place of just
I think mentally I also wasn't great.
Yeah, I think usually it's always people don't leave. They say they leave their managers, they don't leave their jobs. So probably the job is fine, but the environment, the
you can't-
people, the
you can't,
culture.
you can't eat love, dog.
Yeah.
Leave your job.
In fact,
You can't eat love, but people have actually. I know of case where 2 people have died at one of the tertiary institutions because of the culture, the toxic environment that they worked in, within a space of 2 years in the same department.
Or the one that fell off the building in the oh, jump.
No, they didn't jump to
Oh.
conclusions like that.
They did it at home.
Yeah. But yeah, I know. I mean, there was a lady. I don't know if you remember the story. There's a lady who worked for an audit firm in Joburg where she was not feeling very well, and she asked for her boss to take time off. She's not feeling well, and the boss said no.
Oh yes, I remember that story. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
it's very recent. Yeah.
and then she had to work. She worked, and then in the afternoon, evening, she didn't feel well enough to drive back home. And then she said, "Okay, let me Uber to the hospital," and she passed.
In the Uber.
No, at the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
On arrival.
At the hospital.
My gosh.
So imagine if you were the boss who said no.
I feel like you must
Look within, right? And I think also that is also, I'm grateful for those, for the different cultures, because then also it has taught me on, like, I know what I don't want as an employee. Therefore, I treat the people I work with
don't say work with, work under.
no, they work with me.
I was about to the ones that work under you. Up you are the boss.
They work with me.
You are the boss.
We're a team. There's no boss.
Malesela still has that old traditional military hierarchy.
There's no hierarchy. We are there.
Can I ask who pays who?
I get paid there in the company.
We share the money. The money comes in and we share it.
The company bank account pays all of us.
So we distribute it.
Equitably.
Who goes to jail if something goes wrong?
Shareholders. Me, I'm just an executive director.
Okay, all right. So now we know.
Just happened to work there.
I happen to work there. Yes. So yeah, so that's how I then but it had to be very strategic. That's why the April, because me and my friend and I was like to Luke, listen, I think we need to be strategic about it. We had completed a system migration project. It was done, and I was like, what else are we gonna do anyways? And then we then said, okay, we're waiting for our bonuses.
You can never just and those bank bonuses.
I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny.
They are bonusing.
Pounds, but I'm just saying that also, my plan was that I leave in April, then I go around 2 oceans to purge, and then stay in Cape Town for a couple of weeks to purge the corporateness out of me, and then get into the business side.
So you started preparing January. You left April, and then okay, I get you.
Yeah, but yeah, and then there was. I think people must just go back to, what was that? My biggest blunder.
Oh,
Yes, I spoke about that transition, and how that bonus that you think is great, like, it's lessons learned. I do not know the fruits of it.
So your colleague knew, is it a he?
Yeah.
Knew where he's going. Did you know?
No, I would say I had an idea. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and I think that was the first thing that I did. But to be honest, I'm on my COVID happened, and I had to pivot. And
When does COVID happen?
COVID happened.
The year you stopping.
No, the next year.
Okay.
So when I was about to turn 12, as in from the April to the March next year, then COVID happens. And then obviously then there's a good 2 years of recalibrating and checking exactly what it is that you're doing, oil some areas. And then, but one thing I knew is that I'm not going to be an accountant. One thing I knew is that I'm not going to audit anyone. I'm not going to be anyone's tax consultant. I am not going to do any numbers like that.
So you're walking away from the.
I'm walking away from the profession. Sure. I think for me, it had wounded me.
Also,
My professional life, my corporate life took so much from me that I was my job, right? And I made decisions on, like I made social decisions based on work deadlines. So so it was becoming that. But I also think it's because I don't want to say I was groomed, right? I was groomed into the culture because that was my real first, like the training happened there.
It is the bank, right?
No, this is before the bank.
Okay,
This is the Pretoria job. It happened there, like like this the tannies that were there that like saw you as that small little girl walking into the building, and then like you just growing up with these people that just became like family. And like I'll talk about it as well, that I have this loyalty that is almost blinded, that I would do it for you because in my head you will do it for me because we're almost family.
Gone to others.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened. So accounting, reporting, it I don't want to say it ruined me, it didn't traumatize me, but it took away so much from me that I don't want to be with it, to a point that I don't do my own financials in my business. I don't even do a VAT return in my business because
Yeah, interesting. Because I also, I mean, walked away from the profession. But I think so it's quite an interesting because I've sort of been looking at people who have trained for something. You also walked away from your profession, right? And I'm trying to understand, but why do we, is it because
You know, maybe okay. Let me say this, Doc. And I guess a lot of people that study what they study don't end up. Well, not a lot. There's probably more people that go work in their work profession than those that don't. But with us, it's different because this is entrepreneurial, and entrepreneurship always needs you to be thinking outside of what you normally think outside.
But I think I was talking to, excuse me, a client who was asking, I sent her my business profile. Well, a potential client. I sent my business profile and she's like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that you had background in accounting, right? And I said to her, I ended up in accounting by mistake.
Which is always the case.
I was supposed to do law, and then in my matric year,
Oh, you're from that. Okay.
yeah, and then my dad like my dad was an advocate at that time, and then because I had a fallout with him, I'm like, okay, really, I'm not gonna do LLB anymore, and
You're a teenage girl.
yes, other kids who followed his footsteps, that's fine. So at least his legacy will live
do
on.
you think with hindsight you should have done law?
I think with hindsight, I should have done psychology.
Uh,
I was about you. Actually, your personality does suit that kind of law, psychology, something very people focused.
I would have done, because also let me tell you how I then decided that I will do business science, right? But my major was supposed to be industrial psychology, and then they said no, there isn't. It's not a major on its own. It's not a standalone, right?
Yeah.
So I added finance to it. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in investment finance and then see how psychology works out. But in my head, I was gonna study until master's so I can qualify as a psychologist. And then we're sitting in TATS. Our TATS had professionals who came in. So this guy was telling us that he's at Nedbank Capital. He did finance, but during the 3 years that he was actually trading at Nedbank Capital, his friend was doing articles at Deloitte. His boss left in year 4. This guy, the friend had qualified. And then the friend applied for his boss's job. He applied for his boss's job. And then because he did not have the letters after his name, then the friend got the job. Even though the friend did not have internal, like the institutional experience. So then I thought, okay, I don't want my friends to be getting my jobs. Let me then move to accounting. And that's how accounting happened. I've never done accounting at school. People are like shocked that I never did accounting in school. I did it until you didn't have to choose it. And then my choices were,
You did EMS.
I didn't even do a stream. So people will say I had sciences, I had whatever, commerce and whatever. I had a mix. So in commerce I had economics, and then for science I had biology. For the arts, I had drama. Like
This is why high school.
in high school. So in high school,
How is that possible?
Yeah, mix masala.
I mixed, like we didn't have streams. So you could choose and then they will pair it. So I had a whole lot of things like when I wrote my matric, I think people are writing 6 subjects. I wrote 8. Because these 2 were also some of the, like your extras sometimes you don't have, because in the timetable they don't fit. You have them as an extra subject.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you leave.
Then I leave. And then my first business fails drastically. It was a petroleum business.
Oh, okay.
And then it failed. It didn't, yeah, it failed. It failed and this is not an expose, guys. Like it failed because I trusted more than I should. Right. And like I said earlier, that I also have loyalty. So I think if we are discussing a project, the amount of excitement that I have in it, it's also the same as yours. I'm assuming that, right? And then and then you learn that actually I'm the only person here. And also I quickly realized that I was running a project. I was not running a business because it was you hooking up, your company hooking up with this one's company, and then you're trying to do this transaction. So at the end of the day,
After that, what is left?
what is left?
So were you being paid on commission?
No, it was I was supposed to then pay people, you know? So
Was it retail where you buy and sell?
yeah, it's buy and sell, but also then you so you come to me and say Malesela wants it, and then I'm working for you.
middleman, basically.
I work with the middle. Yeah. So it was it was very chaotic, and I lost friendships and I lost relationships at that point. And then I was like, so I was always quick to walk away physically, but then within me, I haven't truly walked away. I'm still thinking, matter why, you know? And then, and then COVID happened. And I remember when COVID was happening during that time, then it also meant the deals that we were working on at that time were not going to fall through because of COVID. And I remember saying to my mom that I don't understand how I'm going to survive this. And she said to me, I'll never forget, she said to me, a whole lot of people in business will die not having gone through something like COVID. So in every tragedy, there is, a light, and then just look at it that way. And then that's when I pivoted. So I initially went into business advisory, and then I soon realized that people actually want me to do accounting. Because then someone will ask you, it was nice to price someone's go to market something.
Yeah.
But then when they then start saying things like, can you also do my tax returns? I'm like, no. And then I then went into, and I started looking at what kind of consulting would I ever do that is going to fulfill me. And also, I think that's also when the fact that I am an introvert, like actually was taking center stage. And I realized that I don't want to be drained like I was before, and I need to take care of myself. So if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I need to own my time and do what's best for me with my time. Because, I mean, half my life I've been giving it to someone, either school or varsity, but it was never for me, right? And then that's when I was like, let me do something that is like behind the scenes and never have to TED talk about what I do, And
Okay.
Doug, why do you have to tell people what you do? Hey, Doug, why do you want to tell people what you do?
I don't know.
You wanna share? You just wanna
Well, sometimes it builds credibility, isn't it?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it's more
So,
from credibility point.
yeah, because I
You're
mean,
marketing yourself, basically.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also the fact that you want people to take you serious
Like you become the subject matter expert.
and if you don't say that, they won't know.
And that's the teacher in you, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I get you. All right. Can-
So that was me. And then, and then I also realized quickly that your business mirrors you, right? So if you just gonna let people do as they please in your business, then the business will look like a festival or something, you know. And then unless you build it in a way that you want it to be built, and it was difficult, but now in hindsight, it was worth it though.
So if you look at the 6.5 years,
6 and 6.
and 6, okay.
It is actually six and a half, actually.
if you were to
Because 6 and
split,
6 is 6.5.
so if you were to split it, how many years were you doing the petroleum and how many years were you doing
I think a year and 6 months I was doing petroleum
Into COVID.
into COVID.
5 years?
And the 5 years has been this
Business consulting.
consulting consistently. And to a point where now when someone calls me about petroleum, I'm like, I still have license, I still have where I can get it for you, but no, I'm not doing it.
Oh,
Okay.
so you do still.
It's
Contacts?
yeah.
Okay. So what does this mean for you? I mean, personally, professionally, what does six and
6 and 6. I think for me, it's becoming more than anything. Like only now, when I think about it, I'm thinking, actually, like I'm not self-employed anymore, right? I run a business. And this is why I was like, no, we need to talk about digitalization and stuff like that, because I was even saying to the team, I think it was about a month ago, I was approaching my birthday and I was getting sick and I was supposed to go have dental surgery and things like that. And I was like, I need to hand over to someone. This needs to function without me. Yeah, it needs to function without me. And I think that's where we are now. We are where I'm saying everyone in the team needs to know, right? And I've made decisions that I think also with the work that we've been doing, where we get to speak to the Black child, the Black female youth, that I've made a decision to then hire in that space, right? And give them opportunities that ordinarily a PWC would take 3 years for them to get.
Yeah, obvious. Yeah,
You
because
understand
it's
what
a
I
smaller
mean?
shop. That
Smaller shop. Then they get to do all of these things. They get, I would do a report and send it back and I say, critique my report, you know, so that they also need to know that I'm human. I also make mistakes. So my word is not final in any decision. We can discuss it. So I'm not the boss.
I'm smiling. I'm smiling, and the reason I'm smiling, right, is I have a specific question around what you're saying now because someone once told me the vision is with the holder, and as you're saying now, if you let things happen, things will happen. You won't let things happen. Right? So things will happen to you. You won't let things happen. Do you understand what I mean? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Right now, with what you're saying, to say do you not think, for instance, that there is a bit of a balance of still taking charge? So being the guide of what you, because at the end of the day, someone came to you with a job, with wanting a job. You didn't go to them wanting a job, right? And at the end of the day, you make sure that what's the word?
I'm not managing my business, I'm leading my business.
Yes, so you're leading it, but at some place you obviously have to have things in. You would have had to do the work before of managing, because management still has to be there. Leading, you can lead all you want. Management staff have to be there, right? So what I'm trying to get to is, are you now saying that yes, you're leading, but the management stuff has already been put in place so that you can lead?
Yeah. So I've stepped out of the not that I have stepped out, I'm stepping out of the day to day.
Okay.
right?
All right.
I'm stepping out of, guys, I have an idea. What about we research this? To
Yes.
what do you guys think should be the next step into the research process? You know, and also, if let's say there is an RFQ out, right? Initially, I would do everything and then submit, and then they will see me seeing them on emails. So right now, I send it out to the team and I'm like, what do you think? What is your input?
Sure.
You know, do you think we should still have it looking this way? Should we change the way that it looks? Like even for aesthetics of it, you know?
Sure.
And when it comes back from writers or whoever, I still send it out and say, what do you guys think?
Sure.
You know?
So it's
Just
just
a different type of management style.
I had a manager who used to shout,
Yeah.
right? And that I just like I don't want to shout at anyone. I had a manager who just it felt like we were friends.
yeah.
I don't want to be anyone's friend,
Mm.
right? So I'm like
In between, yeah.
getting I don't shout, but I'm also not a friend. And the thing is also we are family, like literally family, right? So then there's two roles. So I'm the big sister outside of work.
With the employees. Okay.
Employees. And then at work, we're a team,
Sure.
right? So they can say to me, I don't know where the hell you get that at work.
Mm.
And then outside of work, you obviously don't say that to Ceci, right?
Okay.
Okay. So, so yeah, you obviously wanted to do this because it's your seventh year and
Fullness.
Fullness.
I mean, for someone who's not um, informed or aware of what this fullness is, how does it look like for you?
Maybe Malesela should tell us.
But
Why did you say 7 years I need to do this? Why is not?
I think it's the number of fullness, right? And it's also what the end of second trimester in
Yeah.
life, sort of, right? And my thing is, let's talk about, and I think for anyone, the stats say that in the first year, SMMEs do not flourish, right? So for having been to the stage, and I'm not taking away from someone who's been there 9 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? But we take for granted the road that shapes you from day one of business into the 1,000 days in business into being 7 years, right? Because like I said, there's lessons. I've made blunders. I haven't I lost friendships in the process. I have seen people who are ready to say, I'm gonna help you. I don't know you. I'll tell you a story about this. I just always say that there is grace and there is God in everything. And I think at that talk I said that the reason I never leave out God in my business is because I'm not running it, right? So this is what happens. I apply a whole lot of times, and I said I remember saying to one of the guys in the team that I'm gonna get into this company. I don't know how I'm gonna get into it, but every time there is an RFQ out, I'm going to apply, right? So all the formal things that I did and competing with people, I ended up in like uh it would be, or they don't give feedback, right? This company's policy that they don't give feedback why you didn't get the job, right? So I would get to interview stages, second interview, third interviews, and then we regret, right? And I said, I am not going to stop. And I remember doing a presentation for them with a toothache, a swollen, and I said, I'm going to speak. I'm going to show them that I really want to be in this company. And it didn't work out. But also, the reason, and then they asked me, why do you want to be in this company? And I said, it's because their work is an NGO, right? And I am for their work. It's about youth, women, sustainability, Africa, meaningful work, something that you can see and say, okay, we did this, right? So I needed to be a part of that. And they're like, no, there's big people. And like, if it's not benefiting, and I'm always going to say this, if it's not benefiting a Black child, I don't want it, right? And then one day, this lady calls me and says, listen, Tebogo, you were recommended by X, right? I'm like, who's X? No, works in this company that I keep, applying for and doing interviews at. I don't know this guy from a bar of soap. I don't even remember him sitting at any of, like, when I say I had a lot, I think it was a good run for a year and a half of doing all of those with that company, right? So I don't even remember the panel. Yeah, and not getting in. I don't even remember the panel, right? I just remember there was one guy who was consistently there. I remember their CEO and their head of.
What would they say when they see you all the time? Oh, you again.
No, they would be like, hi,
Oh, so
They were short of giving you an access card.
precisely, and they would even say to me, privately send me a link to say, I don't know if you've seen that RFP that is out, but please apply, right?
They don't give you.
But they don't give me, right? And then now this lady says to me, I got your referral from this guy. I'm like, who is the guy? I don't know him, right? And then to a point where I go through the same thing, interviews, third interview, and then they say, congratulations, finally you're in, right? So I go in as an individual that gets as an elite consultant. So it's not the whole team that's coming in. And then I work with them, and I actually I haven't met the guy
That recommended you.
that recommended me for this one. But when the one that ended with the lady, when it ended, I think it was 2 weeks later or a week, within that week of doing final presentation, the same guy asked the lady for my number and sends me an RFP that is out and says, would you, maybe try this one? Would you be interested? If you're interested, then, And I thought, okay, I don't know this guy. Like when I tell you today that I still have him on my WhatsApp and we say hi to each other ever so often, status, and you say hi. And then we've been promising each other coffee. It has never happened. But for me, that is a godsend. That is one of the angels that came through. So even the bad parts of losing friendships, losing in relationships, because there is gain. Like there is always it doesn't always feel like it's coming. Like the purpose of me telling you that it's been 2 years of trying to get into this company and eventually we got in. And also when we got in, it was multiplied, right? And I think also maybe I was also not ready at the time when I started doing all of this, like maybe professionally ready and also, and then when I got into it, then it was like, oh, okay, great. And then it actually worked out. I mean, I did work for them in Kenya now, and like it's just been, a step up all the time with them. Yeah.
Can I ask a question around? So just a step back, for instance, you mentioned that seven is the reason you're reflecting is because seven is fullness, right? And you feel like, okay, now are you saying that now you are allowed to reflect, or is it more of a, what, in 7 years, what have I actually accomplished as an entrepreneur, and has it been worth it or not? Is that what you're kind of like asking yourself? I just want to understand that.
The mental space with it. I think it's more than I was sitting and thinking and looking at my life, the person, not the business, the person, and the person that I've become since, right? And the voice that I've suddenly have, and the boundaries that I've created, right? And then I was like, where is the source of this? So clearly, as I'm growing, my business is also growing, right? So we are no longer an infant, So now we're in grade R. What kind of uniform are we wearing? And am I So also it's is there a piece of me in my business? Is that a reflection of me, or am I the reflection of the business? So that's where I was with that. But it also felt like there is significant growth. I've come to, and for other people, maybe it's we do everything and anything, right? I'm at a place where I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So if you say to me there is an RFP for this and this and that, I think we should go into it. I'm done with the collaborations that promises you millions and they never come through. And I just felt like we all go through that. Yeah. Because also someone then said to me, "Oh no, now you guys have money and now we're also trying." And then I'm thinking, no, it's because I now know when something is too good to be true, right? And I now know when someone says, "Can I put your credentials on this RFP?" that actually I'm not going to be the person that they're going to hire, right? So they just need you. They just need the credentials to put on there, right? And this is what I was saying about me thinking that when I ask for your CV, that is the team I'm assembling at that time. Should this thing come through, I'm going with the same people. And then now you then see people working on that project that they put your CV in, but you're not a part of it. And then these people are your friends, right? Outside of work, outside of, what you're doing, they're supposed to be your friends. And now they're working on a project that they had said, let's put together a proposal. And then you look back and you're like, maybe it's because I'm so understanding as a person. Like, they will always be there. Hurt her today, tomorrow come back and pretend that it didn't happen. She'll also just move on and then she'll just be there. And it's things like that I'm saying that I'm not going to take away my role in the things that happened, the bad parts mostly. I allowed a lot of things. I read somewhere where someone said boundaries are not a way of keeping people outside, but it's you saying, in here, this is how we operate. Yeah. So I've always thought boundaries meant don't talk to me ever again. And now suddenly I realize, well, no, actually, you can still be in that space, but you and I are not going there. Yeah. So yeah.
It's a good analogy.
Okay. So, I mean, there's always, I mean, if you look at the definition, or not necessarily the definition, but the characteristics of what makes a startup in the first few years, it's always what you just said. You do everything because you're trying to get cash flow going, but as you mature, you then realize that not every opportunity is your opportunity. You start to draw boundaries, you start to be able to say, this is what I want to niche myself into and do. Um, I'm curious about, and I don't know if we have discussed this in one of our podcasts, doing business with friends. Has it not always been a red flag?
We did the relationship one with
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
but
I've
friends.
also done with friends.
With friends, yeah.
I've done with friends, and to my friends, I'm very sorry. If you hear the story and know that it's you, I still have love for you. So, so with friends, it's you. I think I have two different kinds of friends, right? So I have a friend that I would say, look, let's say I have an opportunity and I need someone in IT, and then I call on Malesela because he's in IT, he's gonna assist me. We're friends, right? And then I give you everything. I'm that person that says, this is the budget as it is, and then this is what we're gonna do. This is what allocated for IT. Is it good enough for you? Because I also feel like as professionals, we need to pay the market related. I would rather the business makes less, but not let the collaborators suffer, right? So I'll have open cards and say, this is where we are, and would you be able to do this? And then you say, yeah. And then
That when we're speaking about the digital stuff, anyway.
and then I then say, okay, this is your task and this is mine. Because we're both professionals, you run your own business. I'm not gonna be on your neck asking you, "Hore, o tlela kae? How far are you?" Then okay, we're meeting on the 21st for first feedback and whatever. And then a friend of mine would then say, oh no, sorry, got 21. Oh no, sorry, I couldn't do it. I was busy at work, right? But mine is also work, isn't it? They're getting paid from mine as well. So now the reputation here that is damaged is my company. And now you are my friend. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, but I wouldn't do that to you. Because in my head, I'm thinking, if I don't deliver, then maybe it's just work ethic. I don't know. Or maybe it's just taking people for granted that you're my friend, you'll understand. But what am I going to say to my client?
Yeah.
Right? That you don't want to find yourself in a situation either with your boss or with your client, but you can put me in that situation.
Yeah.
Where I'm relying on you because I trust you and we are friends. And I think my mistake there is thinking that my business is a business to my friends, whereas my business to my friends was seen as a side hustle.
Yeah.
So that is-
Especially if and that's the thing about who was I speaking to? That whole one man's ceiling is another man's floor, right?
Yes.
Is that because you're not running a company that has 50 people, let's say, or 10 people,
Yeah.
or whatever people, then it's almost seen as oh no, but
It's a
it's
floor.
fine because the work I do is actually worth billions, and I
Yeah.
can't afford not to do that. And I think it's part of the guys that I consult for, they bring out a product soon, some other product, and they went to a current client of theirs that does work that they need for this new thing that they're gonna do. And they went to them, and these guys, they're big, they're quite big in the industry, and they went to them and they did this very thing, but it took a very long time for them to do it. They told them, no, it'll take us about 5 days to do it. It took about a month and a half,
Yeah.
right? And one of the guys went to one of the other clients that was sitting, and he was just frustrated and whatever. And the guy says to him, you know what? Don't ever work with people that are not on the same level as you. Meaning you build on the same level, or at least if it's higher, slightly higher, but people that will take you serious.
Great.
And that's basically what I'm trying to get to with what you're saying now, because a lot of the time we go to our friend, right, thinking that our friend, they know what I'm going through. I told them about my business. This is a very close client. You assume that these people actually know, but for them, it really is a side hustle. And for them, they will not take a side hustle as serious as the main hustle, because they know the main hustle is where the bread is buttered.
Yeah. I always say that if I know you, right, you're my friend, and then you refer Roche to me, right, and then Roche does that to me, I think I'm less forgiving there, right? Because then how do you then expect me to live with you tomorrow outside of this? How are we then going to go have coffee on Sunday? Like, when I am fixing the mess that you have created, right? And you're my friend.
Yeah.
And then you also get friends who say, listen, I've got this opportunity. I do not have capacity. I'm going to give 100% of it to you. And then you're sitting there and like, okay, and then how do we profit share and whatever? It's like, no, you do the work, you get all the money. And they want nothing from you.
Yeah.
And then you get someone who then says,
Finder's fee.
no, not even finder's fee. I've had people who then say, I'll take 60, you'll take 40. But
You do the work.
even though you do the work. And that is a friend. And that is a friend, right? Or I've had friends where they would refer me to their friend. And then we sit and we're talking about it. And then I'm like, Malesela, I'm not really sure what Roche, where his line of thinking about this thing is, but I feel like he's lacking a bit. Like, do you want to tell me where he is, or how to approach him? Because I don't know. I also don't want to mess up your friendship, right? And then I also don't want to mess up mine with yours. And then you, as a friend of mine, turn around and make me feel like I'm the crazy one. Because you then at that point, I am not your choice. Your choice is Roche. And then, so these are things that would hurt on a individual level, right? But for a business, it's a lesson that you're learning.
Yeah.
That I recently met another guy in class, and we were talking about how he's like, oh no, a research company actually would like to join. I was a researcher in parliament and whatever, we could work together. And I asked him, are you employed? And he said, yes. I'm like, as much as I love your credentials, I'm not working with employed people because I will never be a priority over
100%.
your employer. So, and I expect to, now we get onto WhatsApp and then someone says, I don't understand this. Can we set up teams now? And then we get on. So if you are going to then say, I was in a meeting, oh, sorry, I can't meet your deadline anymore because my boss moved my deadline at work. I can't work like that. And then you still expect 100% of your income that we agreed on, but you delivered 5 days later. But in that 5 days, I found Roche and Roche has helped me through it.
Yeah.
So then,
That's
You know, you're touching on something, ne? It's actually quite interesting you say that because, so in our business, for instance, I'm the only one that's full time.
okay.
And that very thing you speak about is obviously the others, um the consultancy is kind of like subsidizing the work that we are actually, that the product that we actually want to bring out, right?
Okay, yeah.
And but I'm in it basically full time. The other two work for other companies. Now the thing is, you're very right in saying that someone that is full time, it's actually very hard because what you expect, because obviously you put
Yeah.
in everything, is not going to come out the same. So you almost have to have the patience. And now, if you're building a business, it's very hard to be doing. Yeah,
In the patients, you also have a reputation that you are building, right? The employer already has a thing. Employer could go to their current client and say, look, we need this deadline moved.
Yeah.
If I say I need deadline moved, then I'm saying goodbye to repeat work, right?
yeah.
So
So just the last thing, and you know what the craziest part? Now, one of our partners, he also works in consultancy, technology consultancy, and he now for the last 3 months has had to go for 2 weeks. Two in the last 2 months or 3 months, I don't know, but 2 weeks go to Equatorial Guinea. Now that means that our work actually kind of like stops.
for 2 weeks.
You know what I mean? For 2 weeks. It is the most frustrating thing sometimes. And the thing is, I can't be selfish enough to say, oh no, but you know, it has to be done. Yes, it has. He knows that it has to be done, and he actually does it when he can. But I can't be selfish enough to say, unless I'm paying him a salary, it's very hard because I said he is my partner.
No, but also, like, I think how the difference there is that the reason it would it my current situations irked me so much is
Yes.
because
There's actual clients.
there's actual clients, right? And you're not part of the business, but you are then you coming to me, right? And as a friend, and say you say, for instance, listen, Kichaile, I struggle with fees and whatever. So I'm like, the only way I can pay you is if you come in and do this, and then I'll even give you a premium. So I'm not just going to give you school fees for your kid, but you'll also get something out of it. And then now my entire project, the dependencies are all on you, right? So if, say, for instance, we have a research and you are the person who's going to do data analysis, and then we are all doing all of these things. Someone is analyzing the interview, someone is doing the literature review, and you are sitting with that data a week before we need to present to a client. Then it means we don't have a report because that is the building block into the report, right? What am I supposed to then do? And you find that the work that we're going to report on is the work where someone who doesn't know me has referred me there. So I have added pressure, right? And I need repeat work from these people. I also am not going to let down someone I don't know who spoke in rooms where I wasn't present, right? And then you, my friend, want me to not succeed. This is how I then look at it in terms of our friendship. So as a business partner, if we are business partners and then I don't deliver, there is a thing where you could say, listen, let me just quickly do this thing and then re tla ba sharp. And most likely in a partnership, you are not going to feel like uh your job is more important than the business, because they talk to you, they deliver when they need to deliver. You've had a relationship on how you guys are working, and you also know that they know that them not delivering is impacting on both of you, not just you.
Yeah.
So when it's a friend whom you are giving, let's say, yes, my business is a side hustle, but it's the money that you need, right? Because if you didn't need it, you would say my bill is zero, right? So it's money that you need, money that I'm going to pay you, that we agreed on. And then you then feel like at that point, when you make a decision, I don't matter. I obviously take it personal because we're friends,
Yes.
right? Before anything else, then I'm saying, so if you had to say to me, I'm in a meeting, please go get my child at school, Kenali one, I said saying it's raining and they need to close down. If I say, and I'm the only option that you have, right? And I say, sorry, I can't do it.
No, you said, okay, yes, I can. And then 30 minutes later,
And then,
oh, sorry, I couldn't go. Go get someone else. Yeah.
That's exactly that, right? Because the business is my child.
Yes. Yes.
So do you see how then it gets very personal when it's a friend who does that to you?
Let's flip the script and talk about where friendships have actually helped you. I mean, instances where you would say, there are examples where I did this and then a friend came through. Um,
Yeah, I'm going to talk about where someone dropped me in the middle of a project, and then I I had this conversation with a friend. Some evening, I called this friend and I said, "Listen, this is what's happening, and someone is dropping me, and they've dropped me, but I'm not going to talk about it." And then this friend said, "No, talk about it. You need to talk about it so you can have closure and what, you know?" And then I said, I am not going to talk to that person about it. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do this work and you are going to check me. Are you okay with that? And then the friend was like, so there's no winning in you trying to sort out this and fixing this thing with this friend. And I said, no, there is no fixing anything. And then he then said, okay, that's fine. But also the grateful part about it is that as much as that was a possible break in the whole thing, first, I learned a new skill that I didn't have that I was outsourcing the whole time. And then second, I then um, even got a little more respect for this friend because one, he did not force me to be who I am not, right? I said, I'm not going to confront this person. This person is old enough to know what they're doing, and I'm not going to say, do you see what you're doing, right? And then he accepted my position and then said, I will help. And because I was learning a skill that I didn't have, obviously it took longer for me to do this. And the time I delivered to a friend, I think I was 2 weeks into a deadline for this same project. And shame, I think in a weekend he went through everything and gave us notes on how to fix everything and was actually there, right? So these are examples of friends that are there without expectations, right? Where they genuinely just want to help you and help you grow and learn as well.
Yeah.
So there are friends who then come through and say, and there's also friends who then say, that friend, I want to Malesela, that thing that they did. It's not the first time they do this to you. I've seen it happening to you. And because I can like blinded loyalty. And I'm always the one that gets played on my head because yeah, I get buys, and then I'm not gonna go anyway. Like they will always be there, and because you're not stern on this is not what I want, and they then they become your repeat client. So stop it.
Because they see the work ethic.
Yes, and then they say no, stop it, don't do that, and then and the very same friends who did that, then they said to me, I think sometimes you don't trust that you can do these things by yourself. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk to so and see if they don't have something. You're going to bid like everyone else, but you're going to do this thing alone, you know? And I'm like, alone? And they're like, yeah, you're going to do it alone. No one is going to hold your hand. You're not going to have a friend whom you think, because listen, in most times I get someone with a skill that I don't have, right? But I also realize that it's not necessarily that I don't have that skill. I've just been afraid to venture into that skill. And I've learned new things that I like an ordinary accountant doesn't know, outside of it.
It's quite interesting because when people talk about it, I think we discussed it. When people talk about boundaries, it's like you build this thing and you are preventing people from coming in. But sometimes also boundaries box you in, that you end up just focusing on what you know, and when other things come out, you are afraid to jump out of that boundary that you have. But so, I mean, I listened to your story, and it's sort of like there's this gray area where you do business with friends, but you also wouldn't do business with friends. So you
Right now,
I wouldn't be a lawyer. Like, it's as if it's a double-edged sword. Like, on the one hand, you have friends who betray you. On the other, there's other friends who come through for you. You are loyal to people, they disappoint you. You are loyal to others, they come through.
Take it as it comes.
I mean, what are the lessons? I mean, if you look at how do you navigate that gray area?
I've learned to silently observe, right? So, and I think it's also I would see that now I'm being played, right? But I play along so that we can get to the end of this game. And I don't think it's because there's anything that I particularly lack, but I think it's a collection of data for me. And then in that data, then I will have an analysis and something will come out. But in terms of working with friends or not working with friends, my first option is not to work with friends. That's my first option, not to work with friends. Two, if you're going to work with friends whom you have seen their work.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm going to say, if you tell me, when at the Blue Bank, this is what you do, and then I'm going to trust that and bring you into my business, I think that I'm not going to do. I don't do, there are friends who say, please put together a strategy for me. These ones there's a lot of them. We'll put this thing together. I'm gonna meet with the MMC or MEC, and then
we're gonna take it from the top.
And then that's when you'll be paid. Then I always say, thankfully, no. I am not going to, and I'm going to respect your business. I'm not going to do that to you, so I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to respect myself even more. I'm more content with working and getting paid. And also, I'm still content with not working and knowing that month I'm not getting an income. That's also fine.
It's part of building business.
Yeah. But also, I'm not going to work and not get paid.
Yeah.
So I will work for
Risk work, basically.
Yes. I do not take anything on risk. So, and especially because a whole lot of people, and they are repeat clients, Baba de risky. They keep coming back. And then they think now that they're not meeting with the MMC, now we're meeting with the premier. It's going to make me change my mind. I don't. And Libo, let's meet Mamang. Let's meet at coffee at Little Italy. I don't. If we can't Zoom it, if we can't WhatsApp it, it's for me to get a yay or nay idea of this thing, then let's not do it.
So you don't do random coffee.
I don't.
At Tasha's.
No, I don't. I don't. And I think they're a waste of time as well. You come back, you're drained, because then also, I think what other thing that people don't understand is that I sell time, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna see you for 2 hours at Tasha's, that's 4 hours of my time gone.
That you can't bill.
I can't bill, and I'm not gonna get it back because this one is going via MEC. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. We're waiting for the ANC Lekgotla or something. I don't know. But it's work that, and I'm like, no.
It's very important because at the moment you can't afford to even do those things, risk work, especially, and maybe talking to, I guess maybe let's to getting it back into the whole 7 years thing, right? Is I'm guessing building a business is it's a journey of trial and error. That's obvious. We all know that, right? But it's also an understanding of what you can and cannot do. Because I do 100% agree with you to say, especially as Black people, it's very, because we have power. And when I say power, in a sense, uh, ANC, BE, all of these things.
Yeah.
Because we have that, it's almost seen as, because you know the MEC or the what, you can get that, right? But it's not actually treated as an organization that actually is building something. So what I mean by that is, any private client is going to take you serious enough to know that, okay, we're doing a private thing, not for government, but for private, because this person actually wants to see at the end of the day sales. The sales are what drives businesses, right? And if you're not going to get to a point where we can actually talk on a Zoom meeting or in a formal place. In fact, maybe that's what it is, formally, where we say at 2 o'clock it's formal, not outside at coffee or not outside at whatever, Tasha's. But it's a formal meeting that we're discussing. These are the points. And after these points, we will say, yes, we can go forward. Or actually, there's still more questions. We need another meeting. It's almost, you need to formalize it in some other way. Rather than actually just going in there and, yes, it's my first 7 years. Yes, maybe they are gents that go out there and they get the tender or they get the work, But generally, you want to treat it as, oh, the tender or the other work that I'm going to get through someone is just a subsidy of what I'm already doing. Yeah. Instead of just going in it as, oh, this is my lifeline. If I don't get this, I'm not going to eat. No, treat your business serious enough to know that you are growing an organization. You're not growing a person. You're not growing a house. You're not growing. No, it's in there so that you can build legacy, basically.
And I also think that I do have friends that I think my saving grace was that saving from the tendering process was that the people that I knew that could make tendering work and happen for me were always like an older generation, a big brother or my dad's friend or whatever. And most of them were saying to me that you don't want the comeback that comes with this thing.
Yeah.
Go do what you need to do. Leave all of these things to come to me when you say you are doing a research and now you want to talk to someone at NYDA, for instance, argument's sake. Then I can give you someone's email, introduce you, and you can go do it. I must give you budget and say this thing is going to come out. When it backfires, you're not going to like it. But I love you enough to say, go work. And you will do it. You will.
There's no shortcuts to say to business.
Just go and do what you need to do. To a point now when people say, daily that we're working on and we're doing whatever. I'm in WhatsApp groups with people that I don't know how I landed in there. I don't know why I'm in there. And then at some point, there will be a text that says, Debs are on the side. I will explain to you what's going on. Right now we're
Get the tender bruised.
yeah. And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching all of this thing happen. And I think I've come to a place where I'm not even chasing with them because that's not my business, right? That is a service that you want my business to provide. But when you're ready, we will talk. So you put me in there, I'm like, sure, great. What do you need from me? Oh, okay, no, this I do, this I don't do. And then, hello, ready, let me know, and then we'll get to it. I get into the WhatsApps, I just read and I move on.
It must find you running. It mustn't start you, basically.
And also, I think I also don't want that kind of dependency where someone can. I mean, like we know a lot of money is very loud, right? So a lot of people who think they have arrived in money, they're very loud, right? So my thing has always been, I do not ever want to hear of someone who is saying to someone, I made her, right? And I think also growing up in the family that I grew up in, and the companies that I worked at, even though they've taken so much away from me, is that there is that work ethic where you know that, yes, today I can sleep at 6 and wake up tomorrow at 8, but when there is a deadline, I'll spend the next 48 hours ke sa robala, and then this is what I need to do because this needs to happen. And I think that's also that thing where you're thinking, because people are your friends, you think you're the same bed, right? And then find that no, you are not flocking together here, you know? And I think that's also the thing that hurts a lot. So, yeah.
So you mentioned that sometimes you see betrayal and you just keep quiet. What's up with that?
I think silence is also a boundary, right? And also, I think it's because sometimes you come to me and say, actually, I want Nosto to be in the forefront of this thing because BE female ran and let's rather use your company. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then I see the way you move, right? So sometimes it's for me to, like, I won't even put it in my targets for that year or whatever, because I'm going to watch you move and see how you move, right? Because sometimes we are friends, but we're not. I think it's also the lessons that came to the silence thing is that we are friends, but we don't work together, right? So you don't deliver in the way that I want. And it's fine when you don't deliver in the way that I want or that is expected, but you can quickly fix it and then bring it back. I'm fine with that because we're growing together. But sometimes people move, I could say, Abanaje, someone in their move, right? So it's people who, no, you know,
Okay.
Why do they move like Maete?
Judas.
because you're looking at this thing and then someone says, no, ke nna le wena le Roche, okay, sharp. And then, look, Tiamo will come in and mara Tiamo, I think when you got 10%, right? But I can see that you're moving with these two guys, right? Either I'm the idiot here, or they are the idiots, or you think you're the smartest of all of us, right? So I sit and I observe. And I think I've said to people where I would say, no, it's fine, I'll do it for a reference letter. I don't want anything, right? But that's also me testing you. What kind of a person are you? Are you that is going to say use all your resources for zero, right? And then the minute you say yes, I stick around because, like I said, silence is boundary, and also silence is
A lot.
I'm collecting data on you, right? So yeah, I just see that because also I think it's then I can also know that what kind of a business am I getting into with who am I getting into business with, right? And I remember seeing this thing on TikTok where a guy said, if you know that the guy that you're getting into business with cheats on his wife, why do you think he's not going to cheat on you when he has stood before God and the government and said, I'm going to be loyal to this person. And then coffee, and you think he's not going to cheat on you. And I'm like, actually.
So I have this thing I do now. Personally, not in business or whatever, just personally. If you come to me and let's say, dog, you borrow me 50 rand, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. You almost like that there's money that you can afford to give someone, and you wouldn't mind losing if they don't give you. It's a tester. It's a silent tester, basically. So you say, okay, dog, can I have 50? Oh, dog says, can I have 50 rand? I'm like, yeah, no, cool. Here's 50 rand. Cool. I give you. He's like, no, I'll give you tomorrow. I didn't say in that time.
You were giving it.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
willing to.
The person didn't say, and that's that. My rule is not my rule, but my thing is, if the person doesn't say I will give it back, I'm fine to just give you and that's it.
Yes.
But if they say I'm gonna give it back to you, then that's where the test begins. Because if Vela they come back and they don't give it to you, like if their person comes back and they don't give it to me and whatever, they make excuses, I'm like, oh no, it's cool, it's fine. I've already made the decision that the next time they ask me, I do not have that money. Because that's the type of person I don't need to learn 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Is that in your mind, do you not know that the work that you said you're gonna do, or the business that you said you're gonna give me, or whatever it is, the money that you said I borrowed you and you said you're gonna give me back, you're gonna give back, do you not realize that did you forget that you actually owe me money before you asked me for money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I believe it's the same everywhere. Everywhere in business, in whatever relationship, is if there is that. If you, I give grace for that moment that I can afford to give grace for.
Yeah.
But anything after that, I don't expect you to come back. If you do come back, I do not have. And I will never tell you why I do not have. I just do not have, because I can't deal or I can't trust that now I'm going to give you 500 Rand and now because it's 500 I'm going to give you. No. If you can't even give 50 Rand, how are you ever going to give the 500?
I promise I'll bring the 50. I promise you.
But I think maybe the lesson the lesson in that is that you don't stop giving, right? You give with understanding.
Yeah.
That okay, Roche never pays me back. So the day that he says he wants 500, no, can I leave 50? Because
Yeah.
I know that the 50 I can give
Yeah.
to that person.
Yeah.
Because I also think that you need to have generosity with some discernment, right? Because if it's not there, then you will get depleted.
What do you mean by that?
I
There's a thing that says Adam Grant wrote a book, Givers and Takers. And he says
Yes.
there are people who are
The
givers
givers, yeah.
and the people who are takers. And he says you always have to balance between the two. But if you are constantly giving and people are constantly taking,
Yes, you're going to be depleted.
yes, people are not going to stop
Yes.
taking from you because,
100%.
So I suspect that's what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that even if I'm giving more chances to someone, right? But I need to also discern my boundary and how far I can go, because then I'm the one who gets depleted.
Yes.
Because I don't get like you're saying, I'm one of the givers. I'm not the taker. I don't know how to accept even a birthday gift or a compliment. I don't know how to receive it. But I also know that I do not I do not mind giving, right? But can you just sometimes say thank you?
I appreciate.
It, because then if I see that you're appreciating what I'm doing, then I do it even more.
Yes.
But that's all I want from you. I'm not saying bring it back 100 or 1,000 fold.
No.
I'm just saying that also you're guiding me on how you and I are relating. If I'm doing that and then I'm not danky, then it also means that now you think it's a duty. Like it's my job to do this for you. And I think that's where the depletion enters the game. Yeah.
Quite interesting. I mean, when you say silence, I mean, there's a quote that says the more silent you are, the more quieter you are, the more you're able to hear.
Great.
Right. And sometimes you are even able to hear, your instincts or your gut feel telling you that something is wrong here. It's when you slow down and you're quiet. Yeah.
And I think also, I mean, you would know this, like as accountants, a group of accountants, there's always this competition. Everyone speaks, right? Everyone wants to prove that they know their IFRS better than the other, and. So I think I've had to learn to also. I also had people who would be like, "Oh no, don't talk to her like that. The is very smart," and I think in some situations I've learned to dim myself in order to hear, right? And also because now it's about my business. So in order to hear whether the things that you're saying are the things I like or are they decorated, right? And to the people who've ever been in a meeting with me and I'm like, I hear you. I'm not hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, let's land the plane softly. I mean, if you were to go back to year one, the more mature Tebogo is talking to the startup Tebogo, what would you say to the year one Tebogo?
I think, yo, I think I would say, I think I'll still say generosity without boundaries will deplete you, right? And I'll say kindness and greatness still wins, right? Because then you can't lose the essence of who you are in all of this. And also blind loyalty is not love, right? It doesn't mean when I'm in your corner and I'm always taking you back, the more you hurt me, it means I love you, because all that means is that I love myself less, right? And also that keep quiet, like you're saying, like in silence, the volume is louder. Watch the movements, listen to understand, and to discern, not just understand, because right? They will talk you through the things that you wouldn't do, and you'll find yourself in there because the purpose is for you to listen. And once you start listening, that's when they captivate you. But I'm saying also, whatever higher being you believe in, bring them with you in all your deals, right? So I still say, if you come to me and say, "Tebogo, there's a deal in," I still have that. Even if it's not a big fasting and prayer thing, I still have a, God, if it's for real, show me. And if it isn't, do it quicker. Don't even waste my time, right? And 99%, if I'm silent and I'm not moving like I'm God, he will come through, and then I will see the fruits and all the benefits or the rot,
Doc, I want to ask you the same question.
Please rephrase the question.
If you were to go to year
Oh,
one,
I think I'll go easy on myself. I think I've been too hard on myself. I've made mistakes that I have always been kicking myself. Um, and I think I would basically say I'm gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. And forgive yourself. I think the most difficult part, we can forgive other people,
like yourself.
but it's difficult to forgive ourselves. Uh, Especially because we're gonna make mistakes, and some of these mistakes are not necessarily, well, of course, it's poor judgment and things like
Sometimes
that.
fear.
Sometimes it's fear, but I would sort of say, go easy on yourself. You're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. I think what I love about what Tebogo just said now is, I mean, I once in a while would watch Netflix. Bong. So there's this series, Queen of the South, and this lady gets
The drug
involved,
dealer.
the drug dealer. He gets involved in the drug, and I've been rewatching it recently, and she says something quite interesting. She says, "I'm not going to allow myself to change into what successful people in this industry become, heartless and unkind and all those kind of things." And I then realized that sometimes the business that you build also builds you as well, right? So you need to be very careful. Pastor Ray from Rema used to say, "Who are you becoming on your way to success?" Because you might be slowly succeeding, but you're becoming this monster.
Yeah, and you don't see it because
And
it's
you don't
in
see it.
silence.
Yes,
yeah.
because you are, for you are blinded by the success, And what Tebogo reminds me is kindness still wins. Don't lose that, because there's always this thing that that to be successful in business, you need to be this cutthroat, shrewd person, and I'm sure there are people who have succeeded with that, but I don't think,
Many.
yeah, but I don't think it's a one way to success. I think there is also another way where you can be kind and be yourself.
You know, one of my favorite entrepreneurs or business people of all time is John D. Rockefeller.
Ah, yes.
Where
I thought, okay, sure.
Let's move.
Let's move. Let's move. Let's move.
okay.
Okay. We're almost at the end. We're almost at the end. John D. Rockefeller. Yes. I'm so glad. Thank God.
Tiamo, 2 weeks in a row, I didn't say anything.
Hey, I was
and he brought it
crazy.
up. and he brought it up.
Okay.
Anyway, so one thing I really liked about John D. Rockefeller's, in fact, I've read most of the books that autobiographies.
Yeah.
Really love the guy. The reason I say I like him is he really was shrewd, right? But he was shrewd in business and loving in running the business. Meaning everyone. So there's a statement they say in one of these books. I think it's called Titans, and they say in his organization, no one has ever heard him shout or swear or basically raise his voice. No one has ever heard him raise his voice, right? He's never treated someone ever, but in the business world, he was one of the most shrewdest people in there, but for the sake of business. So he had a vision, and he knew that if he does not get to that vision, it's going to stifle the whole market of oil and everything else. And that's the kind of business personality that I like, where you still know what you need to do. It doesn't mean if you're a consultant, for instance, and you have a certain way of doing things, that you have to be a pushover. No. You have to know yourself enough to know this is where I need to get to. And I can't let other people outside of my organization get not allow me to get there, because that is my function and my purpose to get for what God wants me to do. And that's exactly what I'm trying to what I get from that is that be not cutthroat. You're not cutthroat. Cutthroat is not the word, but shrewd is more better word than.
Gene Collins in Good to Great, he calls it level 5 leadership, where you've got this fierce resolve to get things done.
Yes.
But you also have that humility as well. So it's sort of like a balance between the two. You are humble enough to be able to treat people with respect, but also you have this fierce resolve to get things done. Yeah.
Exactly that. And that's what I for me, what I really like is that having the understanding of what you actually are there to do in that business.
Yeah.
Because that business is actually supposed to, you are building a legacy. You're not building a thing. You're building not a feeder, what's the word? You're building something that is going to feed families.
Yeah.
The pipeline.
A pipeline, yes, that's actually a better word. You're building a pipeline. You're not building a reservoir where you are the only one that is going to get from that.
Yeah.
And that's where the difference is.
And coming to what Roche was saying about forgiving yourself, I think one thing that we don't know what it actually means when someone say forgive yourself, right? We know how to forgive people. And the reason we don't forgive ourselves is because we don't know how that looks like, right? Because I had a friend that
You are now your friends.
well, this was a colleague, right? So this colleague said to me, so it was this, like I go through the seasons of this is my younger days of not dating at all right, and then because then I'll be like, no, but she might whatever, and then
What our header.
What is my 666?
What our header.
and then I remember this colleague of mine and who was a friend of mine as well then said to me, if you treated your relationships in the same way that you're treating your friendships, you'd be very far. because you're very forgiving there, but not forgiving here.
The closer the person is to you, you're almost the person. Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Where we don't know what forgiveness looks like for ourselves, because the closeness, the closest to yourself. It's that thing. I remember one of my gynae used to say to me, she used to make us, like, we used to pray before the consultation, and then one day I said to her that, you know, I want to hear the Holy Spirit. And then she said to me, you actually do hear the Holy Spirit, but you don't know it's the Holy Spirit. Then I said, what does that mean? And then she said, you know, if at one day, just ask yourself, where are my keys, right? And the answer that is going to come through to you is the Holy Spirit telling you where your keys are, your car keys are. And the Holy Spirit will not come in your mother's voice or your dad's voice. It will come into you in your own voice, because that's the voice that you will listen to. So even forgiveness is a mirror. So for as long as we are unable to look at ourselves in the mirror, that forgiveness of forgiving yourself is the most difficult thing to do. You know, I think that is, and also I think also we forgive externally better because we want the sense of belonging.
Some hierarchy.
Yeah.
Maslow.
Okay, as we ground the plane, we are getting into the seventh year now. So, what are you intentional about when you get into the seventh year of fullness? You know, what?
In my fullness, I'm looking more into increasing on the discernment and decreasing on the depletion. So whatever is depleting me, I'm not doing anymore. And in the decisions that I'm making, there has to be higher discernment into what I'm doing. So I cannot be making the same mistakes that I made in 2020. I cannot be making the same mistakes that I made in 2025. So for me, it's a becoming, it's growth. But also, like I had said earlier on, that I think the growth that I'm currently feeling is actually literally physical with myself as well, with how I consume disappointment is not the same as before. Like I would cry, call my mom, call my brothers, call everyone and say, Malesela disappointed me, and
My band, it disappointed me again.
yes, you know, right now I'm at a control what you can control.
Yeah.
You know, like serenity. Like that's literally what it's going to be. Because also, like you said, like the mental health is very important. It's we underestimate that the power of the negative voice inside of us. And you always think that you can talk it out. Like one day we'll talk about my own state like that lasted very long. And yeah, I think that's my closing for 7 years.
Any questions? Are you good?
No, I'm good. Doc.
Yeah.
You know, if we have to speak, you will
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
finish.
Yeah, Tebogo, thank you so much
Yep.
for an amazing journey.
Yes.
And you know, I think you have achieved far more
Then you give your
than you give yourself credit.
You know, I've heard someone say that. One of these people, Woody Chansters, someone said to me, we need to talk. I'm like, about what? Like, I want to leave my employer, but I want to make sure that I'm sorted before I leave. I'm like, we all jumped before we were sorted, right? So you can never be at a place where it's the right time. Everything is aligned for you to jump. And then it's like, do you realize that you have the niche market? So I'm like, me, niche? Like, yeah. I'm like, I don't.
so many other big players.
Yeah, there's many other big players, and it's like, then he said to me, as much as I want to get into your company, but you're not going to let me in, I just want to say that you underestimate where you are. So it was recently my birthday as well, and someone also sent me,
Happy, where's the cake?
ish, I was sick actually. so so then one of the messages I got was someone who said to me that I wish you could just look back and see your journey and see how much you actually inspire some of us, and stop thinking that you're ordinary. And I think also I don't know how to look at my achievements like that. Like I said, I'm a giver, I'm not a receiver, right? And this is a story that I always tell about my dad. So my dad and I used to buy bread every day in the evening. So that day he said, no, let's walk. But we walked to the same shop that we usually parked outside, and the people could see the car and then served us quicker. So that day, because we walked, that lady was just very nasty, right? And then but I didn't even get to see this because he was buying and I was just greeting people and doing whatever. And then when we were walking back, he said to me, listen, he used to call me my girl. And he says, you know, my girl, one thing that you must never do is treat people differently because of what they have, right? So I never get to see the haves. I always see the have-nots. And I think it's one of the things that I think parents need to talk to their kids proper, because what my dad did for me is that I only see my have-nots. I don't see the haves. So I was just coming to you saying, if I look back and yeah.
You know, just a closing remark on that, right? Is I think it's very important to sometimes recollect. You know how they say you write down the goals, you go back a year later to see if those goals were, and you'll realize, oh my goodness, I've done a lot. And that's how you actually get to appreciate. Because a lot of the time, we just get so consumed with life and running a business and doing all of this that if you actually don't go back and realize, actually, you know what? Actually, even if it's not where I want to be, it's where I was not.
Closer to
Yes.
than where you were.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's I think that appreciation of contentness of saying, "I'm not there yet, but my goodness, I'm actually somewhere." You know, again, if you had told me a year back that I would be going full time into business, and I've inverted commas because we're not, but anyway, full time into business, and you'll still be able to take care of your family, I probably would be like, how? Because the way how I even got into the consulting place and everything, how everything happened, obviously that was just God. But I realized afterwards, often, and before any meeting we do within our company, we pray and everything else. But we realize it's just that, as you said, gratitude. You realize actually, if you count the stones of the ones that you put back, that actually you actually are somewhere, and that's actually how you get to at least say, okay, actually it's not too bad. Let's continue.
And you're right, because like I looked back. Usually what I do is that second half of the year I'm working on next year's business, right?
Yeah.
So now obviously then you're collecting the memos from the past 12 months, and I realized actually we did very well, right? It may not translate into a multi-billionaire or whatever,
Yeah.
but also, like I said, that I have come to a place where, because I'm looking more inward, I'm doing projects that are actually for the Black child. In the process, getting paid, of course, but obviously those kind of projects will pay you very little more than the extravagant and all of those. But I'm more satisfied, right? I'm more content with me as a person. I'm not saying I don't lack, right? But there's some inner peace that you have without being the spotlight, but knowing that there is a kid that said, Ostebo, thank you so much. Like now I can run my business and I can do this, and someone who says, I remember one of the guys that I work with one day, it was, I think it was salaries and whatever, and then we all got paid, and then he sent me a text and said, I don't know if you know, but the change that the opportunity that you gave me has brought into my life, I can only say God had you in mind, or had me in mind when he created you, right? So I didn't even look at the monetary thing of it. But then for me, it was, I've arrived. If I can do that for one person, then
That's successful.
for me, that is success.
On that successful note, that's the pod.
That is the part.
That's the
Subscribe.
subscribe. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Easy. He's the future CEO. He's
Future.
yeah. Subscribe
Like, forward, and share with your friends.
on socials, on TikTok, on
Check out
YouTube.
our production team.
Oh yes, and our production team, Point View.
Point view.
Atypical.
Atypical Creations. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you again. Please comment, share, like. Yeah,
Yes, and see you next time.
awesome.
See you next year.
Thank you.
Yes.
Why the next year?
Oh, ngawafidile. Guys, we're supposed to be here for an hour. No, we're here for. I thought this episode would be like 30 minutes.
This is the longest episode.